Let's suppose we're writing a program to determine whether a person needs to go to the hospital, call their doctor, or something else, depending on how high their fever is. In short, we want the program to behave differently depending on certain conditions. To do this, we'll use if statements. In Python, an if statement is created by using the keyword if, followed by the condition you want to check, and a colon. The colon starts a block of code that will only be run if the condition is true. We let the program know what should be in this code block by indenting it. Then, when the program runs, it will check the condition and run these lines if the condition is true, or skip over them if the condition is false. Consider a program that asks the user for their temperature and then tells them if they should go to the hospital or do something else. The Mayo Clinic says that for adults, you should go to the hospital if your temperature is over 40.5 degrees Celsius. So let's update our program to put this in. We can add an if statement after we get the temperature from the user. Now we're going to check whether the temperature is greater than 40.5. And if it is, we want to tell them to go to the hospital. Notice that we've included the colon right here, and we've indented the print statement. Let's run it and see what happens. We're going to use the debugger, and so we'll set our breakpoint, then run the debugger from here, and watch how things work. Okay, so first, we'll let this line of code execute and ask the user for the temperature. If we put in 41, and then execute our if statement, notice that temperature was 41, so this condition is true. That's why we see the debugger go to the next line of code to print go to the hospital. And there's our print statement. And finally, have a good day. Now let's watch what happens if we put in something lower than 40.5. We're going to get the temperature and put in 39. Okay, it's going to check to see if 39 is greater than 40.5. Now, we can see that it skipped the print statement because this condition was not true. And now it's ready to print, have a good day. Great, it worked. But let's say we want the program to give a different message if they don't need to go to the hospital. We could add another if statement for this, but in this case, there's an easier way. We can add an else statement like this. Now, inside the code block for else, we can print consider rest or medicine. Great, let's run this again. We'll ask for the temperature. If we put in 40, now it's going to check if it's greater than 40.5, which it's not. So now it goes into the else block, and it's going to execute the print statement, consider rest or medicine. And finally, have a good day. Okay, this is looking pretty good, but the Mayo Clinic also says that you should call your healthcare provider if your temperature is over 39.4 degrees Celsius. So let's update our program to include this. We could consider putting another if statement inside our else block, and that would work, but there's a cleaner and easier way to handle it. In addition to if and else, there is also a keyword for else if for checking another condition. In Python, it is abbreviated elif. So after the if code block, we can use the elif keyword and the condition we want to check. we want to check whether their temperature is above 39.4. And if it is, we want to tell them to call their doctor. So this says that if the temperature is greater than 40.5, we should print go to the hospital. But if it's not over 40.5, then the Elif condition will get checked. And if it's over 39.4, then it will print call your doctor. But if the temperature is not above 39.4, the else code block will execute, and the print statement consider rest or medicine will execute. Let's run this again using the debugger. This time we'll give it a value that's greater than 39.4 but less than 40.5. All right, we're going to ask for our temperature. Let's use 40. Now the next line is going to check whether 40 is greater than 40.5, but that should be false. Let's see if it is. It was. That's why it skipped the print statement that's under the first if. Now it's going to check if the temperature is greater than 39.4, which 40 should be, and it is, so it's going to execute the print statement for call your doctor. Notice that we didn't even go into the else statement at all because we found a condition that was true. And now we can print have a good day. This is looking really good now, but before we leave, we need to point out something really important. The order of these conditions matters. If we would have first checked for temperature greater than 39.4 in this first condition, then that would have caught everything greater than 39.4, including the things that were greater than 40.5. So it wouldn't have worked the way we wanted it to. When we use if, elif, and else all together, only one code block in the set will be executed. The one that follows the first condition that is true, or if none of the conditions are true, the code block following the else will be executed. In this example, if the temperature is 40.6, they need to go to the hospital. But if it's 40.1, they should call their doctor. And if the temperature is anything below 39.4, they should rest or take some medicine. So the order of conditions is important, or our program could tell the user to call their doctor when they really should go immediately to the hospital. One more important thing to know is that we can use as many elifs as we want or need to, but they have to be used after an if. So now you're ready to start using if statements, which are one of the most common and powerful tools in programming.